Hello and good evening. You're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Hafiz Marzukhi. The landslide at Taman Malawati yesterday occurred in one of 114 red zones or high-risk areas for landslides identified in Selangor's Ampang Jaya district. Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari reveals that around 400 other areas have been classified as orange zones or at risk for landslides. He adds that a detailed investigation is underway to ensure soil structure safety.
He explained that Taman Malawati's soil sits on limestone, which increases the risk of landslides, especially when water flows through the area for months. The landslide, triggered by heavy rains on Tuesday morning, forced residents from 20 houses to evacuate. 4 homes and 1 car were damaged, but no casualties were reported. Amiruddin rejected claims the recent landslide was due to overdevelopment. He said the last time planning permission was issued for the area was over 10 years ago.
Separately, Deputy Works Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Maslan assured that the underlying sedimentary rocks at Taman Malawati Hill remain strong and that there is no more ground movement for now. He said that repair works on the slope require time and involve various methods, but assured that all technical reports will be completed by Thursday evening. He added that since the affected area involves private land ownership, the Ampang Jaya Municipal Council needs to engage with the private landowner to prevent future incidents.
The Health Ministry has outlined guidelines to prepare the country for various emergencies, including landslides and floods. Health Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad says these guidelines were tested from district to regional levels and refined before their introduction.
The new guidelines include the 2024 National Disaster Management Plan and the 2024 Chemical, Biological, Radiological, Nuclear and Explosives Management Guidelines and the 2024 Crisis Preparedness and Response Centre SOP, among others. Dr. Zulkifli highlighted the ministry's focus on chemical disasters and infectious diseases such as COVID-19 to safeguard the nation's development in case of emergencies. He emphasized that disaster management is a shared responsibility involving the government, private sector and NGOs.
Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail assures that no group will be excluded from the government's proposed constitutional amendments for Malaysian citizenship. He says all opinions and criticisms regarding the amendments have been reviewed in the interest of national security and public order.
Saya mengulangi jaminan bahawa tiada satu pun kumpulan yang akan terkecuali atau diabaikan dalam pindaan ini. Ya, kalau dibimbangi akan ada segmen dalam masyarakat yang terkesan terhadap pindaan ini, yang kemudiannya membawa kepada mereka mempunyai masalah tentang status kewarganegaraan. Saya memberi jaminan bahawa keadaan itu tidak akan berlaku.
Saifuddin said his ministry had conducted hundreds of engagement sessions with stakeholders, including non-governmental organizations, academics and international groups regarding the amendments. Parliament is expected to vote on the amendments on Thursday.
Malaysia's major airlines have not met the 85% on-time performance or OTP target set by the Malaysian Aviation Commission. Transport Minister Anthony Loke reveals that from January to August, of the 258,112 flights operated by local airlines, only 76% were on time.
For the delayed flights, Loke said 90.2% were delayed for less than 2 hours, while the remaining flights were delayed for more than 2 hours. Loke said in April, the ministry and MAVCOM had set a target of 85% OTP and 80% of flights adhering to schedules for all local airlines operating from all airports in Malaysia. If the airlines fail to achieve the target, it could impact their applications for renewal or the addition of air traffic rights from MAVCOM.
Extreme violence and abuse by immigration officers led to the escape of 131 Rohingya detainees from the Bidor Temporary Immigration Depot in February. The Enforcement Agency Integrity Commission, or EAIC, says it has lodged a police report on the issue for further investigations by the police.
Based on the Commission's own investigation, the violence and abuse against Rohingya detainees began in 2020 when they were placed at Camp Wawasan Langkawi before being transferred to Bidor. Immigration officers and members of the Volunteer Department Malaysia Rela on duty at the depot were found to be insensitive to the situation. The EAIC added that the depot building, formerly a National Service Training Program camp, had infrastructure weaknesses that did not meet the standards required to function as a detention depot. Senior officers and supervisors also failed to monitor and act to control the circumstances during the escape.
Visitations between parents and children linked to the Global Equine Services and Business Holdings, or GISB, remain suspended, says Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri. The Women, Family and Community Development Minister says this is to ensure the safe houses where the children are kept remain secure from potential threats.
Nancy said there have been reports of individuals lurking near the safe houses, though it is unclear if these were parents. However, she assured that guards have been stationed for extra security. The children are currently in the Social Welfare Department's care under a 2-month temporary custody order by the court. Nancy said if the issue is settled, they would be allowed to return to their families after the 2-month period.
We'll go for a short break. Stay with us.
Rambut gugur lagi? Macam mana Gunakan Pantene baharu dengan provitamin mikro yang meresap dan menguatkan rambut dari dalam. Rambut 10 kali lebih kuat terhadap rambut gugur. Pantene baharu.
Formula One returns to the USA at the Circuit of the Americas.
Welcome to Austin.
Mighty reaction time from the Papaya McLaren. Lando Norris takes the lead of the US Grand Prix.
It's such a great atmosphere.
He goes to the inside, and Verstappen takes the lead. Late move from Lando Norris. Lewis Hamilton takes second place. Max Verstappen sees the checkered flag. He wins the US Grand Prix.
Penyasaran subsidi diesel di Semenanjung tidak akan memberi kesan kepada harga barangan keperluan di Sabah, Sarawak dan Labuan.
660 individu berusia bawah 21 tahun di Sarawak telah diberikan kewarganegaraan.
Sarawak kini menjalinkan kerjasama dengan Bank Dunia dalam menjayakan perdagangan karbonnya.
Israel launched an airstrike on Wednesday on the municipal headquarters in Nabateh, a major town in South Lebanon, killing the mayor and at least 5 others. Israeli strike also hit southern Beirut, the first strike on the Lebanese capital in nearly a week, raising fears of Israel's expanding air campaign.
The Israeli military said it had targeted an underground weapons warehouse used by Hezbollah, with the army issuing evacuation order which mentioned only one building. Before the raids on Beirut, Israeli airstrikes were reported across the country on Tuesday. This came after Netanyahu told French President Emmanuel Macron that he was opposed to a unilateral ceasefire and insisted there must be a buffer zone along Israel's border with Lebanon, where there is no presence of Hezbollah fighters. On Monday, France rejected demands made by Netanyahu for a UN peacekeeping mission known as UNIFIL to pull back from its position in Lebanon. Israeli strikes in Lebanon have killed at least 2,350 people over the last year, leaving nearly 11,000 wounded and more than 1.2 million people displaced.
Indonesian President-elect Prabowo Subianto and his running mate Gibran Rakabuming Raka are set to be inaugurated this Sunday, marking the start of a government that could potentially have no opposition. Major political parties have joined the ruling bloc, leaving only a handful outside, raising concerns about the absence of a formal opposition.
With an 8-party alliance, Prabowo's legislative agenda is likely to pass smoothly. However, this has sparked fears of unchecked power in a country with a history of authoritarianism.
Karena orang kan banyak ragu sama Prabowo, karena kan dibesarkan oleh Pak Harto, dikenal sebagai orang yang mungkin punya masalah secara hak asasi manusia, tidak terlalu mendukung demokrasi dan sebagainya.
Prabowo plans to expand the government by adding 10 ministries and agencies, a move seen as creating senior positions for politicians in his coalition, including those from outgoing President Joko Widodo's former party, the Indonesian Democratic Party of Struggle (PDIP).
Kalau betul itu semua diberi jatah menteri termasuk PDI Perjuangan, itu berarti untuk pertama kalinya pemerintahan ini sejak reformasi tidak ada partai yang menjadi oposisi atau partai yang berada di luar pemerintahan gitu. Nah, tentu pertanyaan menariknya adalah apa dampaknya nanti untuk pemerintahan ke depan kalau tidak ada oposisi, kalau tidak ada yang mengkritisi dari internal, ya dari internal DPR sendiri.
Jokowi leaves office facing criticism for allegedly attempting to change laws to benefit his family and using state bodies to suppress his opponents.
Hong Kong plans to ban flats smaller than 8 square meters to address its long-term housing challenges. In his annual policy address, Chief Executive John Lee announced landlords would be given time to comply with the new size requirements, which include having windows and independent toilets. Lee also pledged to make subsidized housing more accessible for citizens under 40, amid concerns about young adults struggling to enter the city's crowded housing market. Hong Kong is home to some of the most expensive housing in the world, with 110,000 households in a population of 7.5 million living in subdivided flats. A 2021 government study found that 21% of households in such units had living spaces smaller than 7 square meters. That's even smaller than a parking space. Lee also announced tax cuts for certain liquors to boost tourism and high-end F&B consumption, along with policies to expand the investor immigration scheme and the 10 billion Hong Kong dollars fund to invest in AI and semiconductor industries. At least 10 Indian flights have reportedly received hoax bomb threats over the past 48 hours, causing significant delays and diversions. On Tuesday, Singapore's Air Force dispatched 2 fighter jets to escort an Air India Express plane away from populated areas following a bomb threat.
Earlier that day, an Air India flight from Delhi to Chicago was also forced to land at a Canadian airport as a precaution. Hoax bomb threats to airlines are not unusual in India, but it is not clear what triggered the sudden surge since Monday. Apart from Air India, Indigo, SpiceJet and Akasa Air flights also received threats. On Monday, 3 international flights that took off from Mumbai were diverted or delayed after threats were posted on the X platform. Police have detained a teenager in connection with this. And on Tuesday, 7 flights were affected by the threats issued by another X handle, which has now been suspended.
In Mexico, the mayor of the southwestern town of Candelaria, Losicha, has died after he was stabbed outside his home. Roman Ruiz Bojorquez's murder marks the second murder of a Mexican mayor in October. Initial investigations revealed that Bojorquez's death was a result of an interpersonal conflict. Officials said the prosecutor's office was investigating the crime and said it would not go unpunished. On October 6, Alejandro Arcos, the mayor of Chilpancingo, capital of Mexico's violence-ridden state of Guerrero, was murdered just days after taking office. Mexico's recently inaugurated president, Claudia Sheinbaum, has pledged to tackle escalating violence with a security strategy aimed specifically at combating violent crime. That wraps up this edition of AWANI Tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Hafiz Marzukhi. Good night.